Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 485 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Naota Hashimoto. And are you tracking your stats? And if not, learn how to do it with TrackStat. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Naota Hashimoto on with me. I got some really cool software that he's created for the chiropractic marketplace. I'll let him tell you all about it. I believe it's called TrackStat. But as we get into the episode, I'm going to ask him a lot of cool stuff about marketing and how he's helping more chiropractors with his systems. Before we jump in, though, I'm going to let everybody know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, number one, we protect freedom of speech with this show. I think it's really important. As we've seen what's happened over the past couple of years, that's been something that's been manipulated. And this show's been something that's been very consistent and stands strong to protect freedom of speech. We also believe in family health freedom and family medical freedom. So those are things that people need to be aware of as well as we go forward. And I believe chiropractic is an answer for a lot of those people that need help, that are confused or don't know where to go, who to trust. But more philosophically, we do protect the sacred trust. Those are BJ Palmer's last words. So if you want to know what the sacred trust of chiropractic is, go do a search on your favorite search engine of BJ Palmer's sacred trust are his last words. And we also believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. We support subluxation-based chiropractic, innate intelligence, and universal intelligence. And we believe that when man or woman gets adjusted, it connects man or woman, the physical, to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, Naota, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really excited to jump in with you today and talk about your chiropractic story. I know that I was unaware of how you got into the profession until I read your bio. So let everybody know a little bit about your backstory. How'd you get into chiropractic?
Well, I just say chiropractic kind of more or less found me. I would say that a lot of my really good friends that got into this, chiropractic found them. I got, friends with severe migraines going to the neurologist, and then chiropractic saved them. And for me, it was a car accident. I would say more allopathic back then. I wanted to go into healthcare. I was going to be an engineer because I was good at math, and my brother was an engineer, and I volunteered in an engineering firm, and I didn't really see myself as being an engineer. So I just decided to go into healthcare, and then some of my parents' friends were dentists. So, and then one of my mom's cousins were dentists. So I was like, you should be a dentist, because growing up in Asian family, they just give you three choices: doctor, lawyer, engineer. So those are the three choices. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be an engineer. So the default was doctor. So they said, be a dentist. So I did pre-dental, did that, and then got in a car accident head on. So I got a little alar ligament instability in my neck, disc bulge in my neck, disc bulge in my low back, did PT for about 6 months, medications, did improve. But at the end of that, I couldn't sit for over 20 minutes without pain. I get neck pain and headaches, and I had a little bit of facial numbness. And they wanted me to see an orthopedic surgeon. And then at that point, that's when I started to panic, knowing what I know now. I know nothing would have happened, but when you're in your early 20s and they say you need to see an orthopedic, last word in the title surgeon, you freak out a little bit. And then a friend's dad just said, my mom said, you need to go talk to so-and-so. I talked to him because he was seeing this specialist And that's kind of like the first time I heard the word chiropractor, but like I just thought they worked on maybe low backs or something. And I had all these other things going on, and went in there. Within 3 visits, I was way better. And then within 2 months, all my acne was gone. Long story short, I was seeing a dermatologist for about 5 years, put on Accutane, which made my liver go all wonky, and they took me off of that. And the guy put me on paleo back in like the year 2001, and acne went away. So like everything changed. I had these digestive issues, I had acne, I had neck pain, headaches, and back pain. And all he did is he put me on vegetables, fresh fruits, water, got me off soda, got me off Doritos, got me off all those things. And it everything changed. I ended up meeting my wife in school. So I would say that chiropractic kind of more or less found me. And it's it's been great. So
Yeah, I've heard that said a lot. Like, did you choose chiropractic or did chiropractic choose you?
yeah, because like a funny story though, like my parents actually tried to talk me out of it when I told them I wanted to do it. My best friend's parents tried to talk me out of it. They said, it's like, you shouldn't go, they kill people, you're not a murderer. They thought I was going to go stroke people out. And then I asked, have you ever been to one? No. And then I asked, it's like, do you know anyone that's ever been to one? No, but they heard we're a bunch of killers. So it like it's just kind of interesting. And then like I think there's tends to be a little bit more mavericks in this profession, because like we're going against the grain to begin with. And like just at the very beginning, if I wasn't such a strong-minded person or strong-willed, or my wife says stubborn, I would have probably chosen a different path. And I'm not saying that if I was a dentist it'd be a horrible thing, but it just I just said no, this is what I want to do. And I just kept investigating a little bit more and a little bit more. I shadowed the guy that was my first chiro. I did a little research on who knows who. Then I talked to like one of my friend's cousin that was a chiro, then talked to someone else. So it was like, and the more I talked to other people in the profession, the more I wanted to be one. So
Yeah, I think that the whole thing is really impressive because early you went in to find a chiropractor because of some type of systemat or symptomatic approach. Like you're like, gosh, I can't feel my face. I don't want to get surgery. Well, I better go see somebody. So you're inspired to go find outcome, a better outcome for yourself.
yeah, no, absolutely. A little bit more out of fear, and more so that I just didn't really want to see this other person. But I was like, I knew something wasn't right and something had to change, and that was like the triggering event. So
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about, keep on telling the story about chiropractic. That's really like the hallmark of what we do over here at the show is we just get a chance to tell chiropractic stories. And I think it's brilliant because everybody comes from a different position of why they became a chiropractor. And I think it's really important for the future to just keep on telling the story because one of my good friends, Roberto Monaco, always says that if we don't tell the story about ourselves, someone else will make up one about us. And that's what it sounded like happened to you early on is like people are like, oh, they're killers. Don't do that.
yeah,
Why would you do that? Well, did you go? No, I haven't done that.
yeah,
it's
no,
like it's like the boogeyman
no,
lives
and
under the bed.
the family that was telling me not to go, they popped a million medications. Unfortunately, she passed away like in her early 50s. Like she had, like everything wrong with her. And yeah, it's like eventually passed away from infection that she got in the hospital. So,
Man,
so
yeah.
she got a surgery, got an infection, and she passed away. And it's horrible. So,
Well, I think we should you know, be thankful that you were able to find chiropractic and raise your family within the chiropractic construct.
yeah, no, it's multi-million dollar education. Like me and my wife will talk about that all the time. Like we use it all the time for figuring out what to eat, what kind of vitamins to take, order a lab test, read my own labs. I always have one of my friends look over it as a second opinion, so it's not biased. If one of my kids gets injured, with some kind of a strain from pitching or something like that in baseball. I'd just take a look, figure it out, get them adjusted, and then get them back on the field. So it's like we're using this all the time, even though like I'm not as active in practice anymore.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the term biohacking, correct?
Yeah, of course.
I always tell people that chiropractic was the original biohack.
Yeah,
And it was the first thing that any time somebody looked to like causation of something said, hey, if we do that, we can fix that and you'll feel better.
yeah. No, like I'm not a hardcore biohacker, but I do a number of things. Like obviously you got like the special glasses. I do the mouth taping and stuff like that.
But
So
I mean, a little bit goes a long way with when we decide to go down a certain path. But I'm just saying, like, chiropractic was like, to me, I've been to these conferences where there's like everything under the sun, but there's not a chiropractic booth. I'm like,
yeah,
you think that it's everything but that. And I'm like, chiropractic is the thing that makes everything else work.
yeah, no, just kind of like devices and things like that. So yeah,
Do what works. That's I
absolutely.
always tell my friends, look in the obvious places. Let's not overlook things here. Like
Yeah,
if
no,
you
definitely.
want to get results with your health, go to the chiropractor. Um, so you said that you're kind of segued out of like practice. So let's talk about what you're doing now. Like I know that you have some really cool technology that you've implemented.
Yeah, essentially, I just ended up building something that I didn't want to build, but we built it anyway because it didn't exist. So, like, we had several providers in the practice. We did medical, physical therapy, and chiropractic. So we did all of them. We did like insurance, personal injury. So it was I would say, a pretty complicated practice versus like cash only, adjustments, re-exams, and adjustments. And at the time we had like seven spreadsheets, Infusionsoft. We had a texting platform. We had another platform that tied in for stats, and nothing talked to each other. And it was just kind of like a pain in the butt. And then I have a few friends that are like engineers, like software engineers, and then talk to them a little bit. One of them helped me hire my first guy, and I just one of the things I wanted to do, which we still do today, is I felt like is if we got everyone that started a treatment plan to finish a treatment plan, our visits go up. So we did that on a Google Sheet. So I wanted to automate that. And that was kind of like the first thing that we had in our practice because it took like 20, 30 minutes to update that every single day. And then we just kept adding stuff to it. And then yeah, like we just decided to make it happen. Like if I back it up a little bit more, like how I even really got into software, like we had our practice, and then we had this other business where we were putting butts in seats. So we were doing about 100 to 200 stem cell seminars a month for these MDs and medically integrated clinics. And we were overloading our Zapier, and then this is before Go High Level and stuff like that existed. And if a doctor signed up with us, it would automatically create a funnel. It automatically create their landing pages, automatically correct their direct mail, newspaper ads, and do all that. So that's kind of like where our first and still the first engineer that we got came from. So like making this stuff for TrackStat was like in between projects. And I just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And then, I had friends use it and friends of friends use it. People say you should turn it into a business. I didn't want to. We had our practice. We had the seminar business. And then there was a little bit of infighting in the seminar business. But like I was thinking about doing this, but not quite totally committed, and then kind of getting back into purpose and the reason why. Like, while this was all happening, my dad was like dying of cancer. And when he was passing at the end, it wasn't about like the kind of watch he didn't get, the kind of car he didn't get, the kind of house he didn't get. It was really about like the people he loved, the relationships, the memories, the experiences, the people that loved him. And that's kind of like what it was all about. And he was looking for meaning and purpose of his life. And I remember, having a conversation with my wife, September 2019. I remember I had a 2-hour conversation with my dad, who was a man that was certain about everything, and he was questioning his own purpose in this world. So I don't know. For me, it shook me pretty hard, and started talking with my wife as like, like what would this look like? What we do? And we just talked about it. We talked about it. We talked about it. And then when COVID happened, it turned out putting older people in a restaurant that many times a month, that was a business that went straight down. And we just took it as a sign, right? He's like, this is it. This is our moment. This is our time. Because I could have either pivoted into webinars or got this thing going that I really wanted to get going. And we just went ham on that pretty much March 2020 all the way to September 2020. And then we took on our first paying client, and we took on another one and another one and another one. And it's kind of grown since then. So like that's kind of like the inception, the beginning of the software business.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle. But it's kind of it fits into a model that you're happy to work in, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And like we get like emails and chats and people reaching out. I was just at a conference on the weekend, and like having people come up to us that I didn't even know, and coming up and just saying how much of a difference it makes in their practice and how much it makes their life easier and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And to see our doctors like increase kind of like their profitability in their practicing and increase their visits and help more people. Because I think that if we have more successful chiropractors out there, that's what's going to change the profession more than anything. Because like I've just come to the realization, I don't think we could ever agree. Like people say you need to widen the scope. People say we need to narrow the scope. We need to own subluxation. We need to integrate with other kinds of providers. So I don't think anyone's going to agree on anything. But I think if we put like an extra like 40, 50K of profit in everyone's bank account at the end of the year, that's going to change more things, because now they could donate to causes like, Texas Medical Association. They're always going after their ability to diagnose. And, you're looking at Washington and all these other states are always kind of attacking us. So, the medical industry has a lot of funding. So, that's something that's going to help the profession.
So I got a question from Jody Dinnerman. I usually don't do this, but I love Jody. She says, what is the product he offers? You want to just let her know about TrackStat a little bit?
Yeah, it's trackstat.org, trackstat.org. If you go there, it's essentially, it ties into your platform. So previously there were other things like, like Sched Review Wave, Zingit, Demand Force, that just like with communication, there's like Blue IQ with stats, but like the missing link is with all the patient tracking activities.
What about what about Jane app?
So Jane app doesn't actually have any integrations. So they have their previous integrations when they were like older, but they have to redo all their connections. So like, I'd love to do one with Jane. I did meet with one of the co-founders, met with him a couple of times, and, it's probably something that's going to happen. But as of now, they don't have the ability to do it. But I would love to do it there. So it's an activities-based platform. So like the front desk, like when the phone's ringing, people are coming in and out, it's hard to figure out what to do. So essentially it will show them how many people are leaving with an appointment. And then it'll show you out of all the people that left in the last, say, 10, 20, 30 days, which are the ones that are easier to reschedule. So we already know visit frequency, history, how long they've been out of the office, how much they pay per visit, do they have money on account, how much they've paid total. And we could analyze all that data and we will score it. So people that are more valuable and more likely to schedule go at the top of the list, and people that are less likely go at the bottom. We do similar things with canceled miss. So we make it easy for the admin people to follow up with patients. And then obviously we'll do automations to reach out to people. But, like if your old dentist gave you a text to come back in for a free teeth checkup, would you run over to their office? Jim?
I a free dental checkup. I'd probably say yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like they're gonna like look at your teeth, right? Not a cleaning, not anything. But like, yeah, maybe you're not happy with your current dentist, but like, like, and I'm not saying you don't do those automatic reach outs, we'll do that. But like if you send out like 100 automated texts, you're not going to get 100 people to respond. You're going to get 5 people to come in, maybe 20 at the most,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you
So,
actually followed up with them and called them and gave them a personalized text, you're going to get a lot more people to come in.
so now we're talking marketing, and
Yeah. So like,
it sounds like that's something that you enjoy too. So, what are you doing currently with your system that's working and that's helping chiropractors?
um, well, like getting a referral. So like that's something that you could do. So a lot of people don't have an automated way of generating referrals. Something simple is like the NPS score, like you've seen that on a scale of 1 to 10. How likely are you to recommend us to a friend? So you could text out, say on visit 6 through 10, and just have something go out, say, hey, our practice is built on referrals on a scale of 1 to 10. How likely are you to recommend us to someone else? If they say an 8, 9, or 10, ask them for a referral. If they say like a number lower than that, you need to engage with them and figure out how you could improve that service. Obviously, getting reviews is great, but that's nothing new. So a lot of people are already doing that. And then patient education, controlling that journey on the way. So some of us, like when we're in practice, we'll have these table talks, but we don't have automations for our table talks. And if you're doing a workshop, you could take little snippets from your workshop. If you used to do a workshop and you quit doing it because you don't feel like doing it anymore, you could take little highlight reels from that. You could record a little video on like Loom, loom.com. They have a free version, but the paid version is like $96 a year. And you could just record little videos about that and then have that texted and emailed out to patients at certain touch points during their experience. And then, like also like when you're engaging with people with automated text, like a reactivation or recall, the more you look at like make it look like a human to human interaction, the more likely you're going to get a response. So many times I see people send out automated text like a big corporate message, hi, first name, at this, you say a message, then you say the office and the corporate name, and you have like a little tagline at the end. And if you were texting one of your friends, you're not going to put a tagline at the end of your text. It's just going to be like, hey, haven't seen you for a bit, is everything okay? Right? And they're going to reply back to that because it looks like a human to human text. So like when people are sending texts out, try to make it look like it's a text that you would send a friend, your mom, your brother, your cousin, things like that.
Yeah, I think there's a
And
lot of there's a lot of knowledge in that when it comes to how to communicate to people. And
yeah,
I think that surveying your people is really smart too, and try to improve your service based on like if somebody responds back, hi, hey, give me a referral, please. And if somebody responds low, hey, what can we do to improve our service for you? I think
yeah.
both those are really smart.
Another thing that I recommend with marketing is like multi-touch points, right? The more touch points, the better. So some people, when they do a reactivation text blast or email blast, they're just doing one message, right? They're sending out one text, one email, and that's it. And if you do it sequentially, like you send out an email and then you send out like a follow-up email and maybe a text in there referencing the email and then you call them, you're going to get a much better response. So it all starts with the audience, because I see a number of our clients doing this. They will just text every dang person on the list. So, like with our system, if you wanted to text people with the following insurances, and or if they've spent over $300 or $500 in cash, if they're under the age of 64, over the age of 25, and they haven't been in during this time period and they don't have a future appointment, you create that audience. Now, once you have a better audience, you can make a better offer. And then when you reach out to them, if you really want to bump up that open rate, you could segment it based on males and females and send almost the same message to males versus females. And then what we do in our system, what we recommend is, on top of the texts and the emails, you could follow up and call the top 20%. You don't have to call all of them, right? If you're text blasting 1,500 people, you can't call 1,500 people, but you could kind of like go after the top 300 people. And if the top 300 people spent, say, three, five, 10, $15,000 in your practice, it's worth giving them a phone call.
Yeah, people like those personal touches too, just because we are in an automated world where everything can be, like you said, segmented and categorized and communicated directly. There's nothing that goes, I mean, the old fashioned phone call is still the way the business is done.
Yeah, and it's just the one of the arguments people say is like, well, people don't answer their phones anymore because of spam calls, but it's multi-touch points, right? Some people are going to respond very well to text. Some people are going to do fine with the email, and then sometimes you call them, they don't answer, but they're going to get the voicemail. But like multiple touch points, the more you add, the better. But like those three are the easiest to scale. Direct mail would be a nice touch, but that's an extra thing and an extra cost. So some offices don't like doing that. We do direct mail in our office, but I just see a really good return on it. So that's why I continue doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too. Is chiropractors that are listening or watch this episode, I would say find your sweet spot. Find what works for you and do that. And I think that it doesn't take long for people to realize what's working with marketing and what's not working with marketing, or what touch point is like effective for them. I think that that's a big thing too, is find out what is working and do that. And obviously, it's important to have a trackable software and a trackable system for, managing people. Because your net worth is the people that come into your office, and if you don't know how to stay committed and attached to those people long term, then you don't really have a business. And I can't tell you how many offices I've been into where I've seen like old files, and they're saying, yeah, I see like 150 people a week. I'm like, well, look at those 10,000 like files you guys have over there. What happened to all those people? Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to convert those people to care again? Like, don't they still matter? Or is it just the 100 people that are with you now?
Yeah. No, it's the number one of the main reasons why people leave is just because they forgot about you. So it's like we do kind of like emails and like a physical mailed newsletter. And that has gold in it. It's one of the best referral and retention tools out there, but you have to be consistent with it month after month. And like with our software, like it does like a few main things. It helps you attract and convert more new ones, help the patients that have converted finish their care plans. And believe it or not everyone tracks that, and you'd be surprised at how many people drop off. And then it helps you convert more people in the maintenance care, and it gives you all the reporting of your attraction, retention, conversion, all your financial stats, all in one place. So all for the price that they're already probably paying for an appointment reminder system. So
Well, it's really cool to hear about your systems that you've created for chiropractors. We're almost to the edge of our time together today. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would hope that we would have talked about today?
um, I'd say like, well, one, like if they go to our website, they could get a free trial. That's one thing. But I see a lot of these offices sometimes, and they either track nothing and fly by the seat of their pants, and I see some that try to track too many things. I say like track a handful of things. So like like a weekly visit and everything that kind of comes off of the weekly visit. and making sure you collect on every single visit. So I've seen some offices where they're so focused on hitting 1,000 visits a week that they have all these people coming in getting visits for free, and they don't clean their ledgers. And you have all these patients coming in that have a balance. And since everyone has a balance, the front desk doesn't know what to do. So they just keep checking them in, checking them out. And, I've seen like one client where they're seeing a family of 5 for a year, and they collected $0 from them, and they were not able to collect from them. So it's just, not only do you have to increase your visits and help more people, but you do have to make sure that you're collecting on those visits. So we recommend tracking your dollar per visit average. I also recommend tracking like the percentage of people leaving with a future appointment, scheduled appointments, and patient drop-off analysis is something that I like a lot, and that's something that we have in ours. So like a lot of consultants will recommend and preach and teach PVA, which I totally get. It's a big number. So like if someone says PVA is low or high, a consultant's going to know that they have a problem with retention, but they can't tell them where that problem is. So with patient drop-off analysis, it will tell you where that problem is. Is it between visit 1 and 2? Is it between visit 3 and 5? Is it between visit 7 and 10? So once you do patient drop-off analysis, you can figure out where to fix it in your process. Because if you see that, okay, PVA is 12, you know that there isn't a very good retention number, but where do you fix it? Where do you start? And it does get overwhelming. People say, well, do I got to fix the first visit, the second visit, the third visit? And patient drop-off analysis is going to show you specifically where do you start, what's the second spot, where's the third spot. So those would be kind of some of my takeaways.
Well, I've always heard that it's easier to make second money than it is to go make new money. And it's easier to convert somebody that's already into your system into purchasing again as it is to go out and to find new people to buy into something that is brand new to them. So I like where you're going with this, man. If people want to work with you again at TrackStat, what website can we send them to?
TrackStat.org, TrackStat.org. You could do patient and drop-off analysis yourself. If you plugged it in and synced it, like I said, it's a 2-week trial. So if you're curious, you could plug it in. It takes about 1 to 3 seconds to generate that report for all of your visits. And then based on that, you'll know kind of like where you want to start targeting. And you could also break it down by niches. If you wanted to go down by PI, work comp, knee, decompression, you could also break it down by a provider, because you might see that one provider in your office is really good with retention and some of the other ones aren't quite as good. And it's just data.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you making time for us today. You're episode 485 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I thank you so much for spending some time with us today and telling your story.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I look forward to our next one too. I'm going to close out with everybody telling you you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great day now. Okay, Doc?
Take care.
All right, bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.